Okay, so I'm not going to go through every little box in this chart because you should be able to find some general information just by Googling these different types of electromagnetic rays, or sometimes they're called radiation. Um, Radiation is just another form of energy, another word for energy, basically. We've talked about a few different types of radiation when we talked about nuclear energy. We talked about how we have these gamma radiations. One thing you could say is that this is produced by nuclear energy. And then if you kind of notice, if you read a little bit about gamma radiation, you probably saw health risks or things such as cancer, what we call radiation sickness, right? That's like what you see in the movies when if someone's like exposed to too much radiation, they lose their hair, maybe they have organs shut down, and then they eventually die. Basically what happens when we're talking about these types of energy, if we start over here at radio waves, we can see our wavelengths are really long. Okay, so what we can kind of infer from that is that these long wavelengths, they actually have a very low energy. So I would add that to your chart. Okay, low energy. And then as we kind of move towards the right, towards our gamma radiation, we end up over here where we have a very high energy wave. Okay, and we can kind of see how as our energy, let me just scroll just a little bit so I can kind of write. We have high energy, okay, and we can see we have a high frequency because we have lots of waves per second, right? They're real close together. So the higher that frequency, the higher the energy. Over here with our low energy, we can see we have a low frequency. Okay, so we have only a few waves per second. Okay, so as we kind of move down this chart, if we start at radio waves, probably what you may have found some information that said that they were dangerous, or they could cause brain cancer from cell phones, possibly. It's important to know that a lot of that has never been proven. You probably, if you kept reading through any of those websites that you saw that said that, there's actually never been any cases where they can prove that any of these waves down here have ever caused cancer. If you're talking about radio waves, those are like your radio in your car, right? Your cell phones are right here up with microwaves, okay? And actually like microwaves that you use to heat your food. So over here are radio waves. This is like the radio in your car. Radio in car. Okay, I don't know anyone that's ever gotten brain cancer from the radio in their car, right? But these waves are so low energy that they don't do any kind of harm. Microwaves, the way that microwaves work is it can penetrate like food. It can't really penetrate your skin. Your skin is a lot tougher than food. So it's not gonna really hurt you per se. I guess technically if you could get into a microwave and then turn it on and it was for a while, like a long time, some of that energy could penetrate your skin and basically it would just heat it up. So it's not really going to cause cancer, but it might heat up your skin so much that it could cause burns. So we could say burns under health risks. Here there's virtually none. So we can protect ourselves by not climbing into microwaves. Infrared radiation, that's like a heat detection. Basically, it's just heat. Anything that gives off heat. If you think about like in movies when they use like those little radar guns or infrared guns that can kind of like say, oh, is there anybody in that vacant house? Well, let me hold up this gun and see. And they can kind of see like the little orange people walking around. That's infrared, right? You as a human give off heat, so you give off heat energy. So that's what that that's what infrared is. It's just heat. There's not really any health risks, except for like another example of infrared is like those hot lamps. So we could say heat, like people, okay, or we can say heat lamps. Like if you've ever worked at a restaurant, those like they're really hot light bulbs basically, and they can keep food warm while you're waiting to take it to tables. So the main health risk is it could cause a burn, right, if you touched it, but hopefully you wouldn't touch it because you know it's hot. Visible light is just all that light that we see, right? All the colors. We'll put Roy G. Biv, right? That's the rainbow. All the different colors that we see, that's all visible light. The main health risk, there's not really any except for blue light. Okay, so as we kind of get over here in this little kind of the end of that rainbow, that blue light, that comes from like computers, phones, cell phones. It's kind of that digital light that can actually cause eye strain. So I'll put eye. Oh, goodness, sorry. Eye strain. Okay, and it can cause some eye damage if you stare at it for too long. So when your mom said like don't sit so close to the TV, or if you stare at your phone all day, it may eventually hurt your eyes, right? And you may have noticed that, especially if you like look at a lot of television or computers or things in the dark. It actually causes more strain if you're in the dark. And you may have seen there's like glasses you can get that help prevent blue light. The whole purpose of like the night vision on your phone, or the nighttime, dark mode, I forget what it's called. But that's to kind of help reduce the amount of blue light, because now they know that it does cause some eye strain. It can cause eye damage for prolonged use, okay? Ultraviolet radiation, that's like UV rays, right, from the sun. And then we know that if we get too much sun, we can get skin cancer. So now, all of a sudden, we've gone from virtually nothing to maybe some burns if we just do something stupid, to now we're up into skin cancer. Okay, and then remember we've talked about X-rays before and how we have to wear those lead vests to help protect ourselves, because otherwise it can cause things like it can cause cancer. It can also cause reproductive, we'll say disorders or harm. Okay, that's why you always wear those lead aprons kind of covering your body, because you don't want any of that radiation damaging, your major organs or anything. And then, so I mean, you may think, oh, that's not very dangerous because, we get x-rays all the time. But if you think about, they're really taking a lot of precautions to make sure you're not getting hurt. Whereas over here, with our radio waves and all this, we don't take any precautions virtually to make sure we don't get hurt. So in the level of danger, x-rays are much more dangerous than radio waves and microwaves, even though we think, oh, well, we don't get hurt with x-rays, right? But that's because we do things like this, right? And then think about the person that's taking the x-ray. They actually leave the room, right? They walk into another little area that's like usually walled in. Sometimes it has a door, so it's a totally different area. They're not even in the same room with the x-ray machine when it goes off. So we're taking a lot of precautions to help prevent any major harm to come, right? And then we know that our gamma radiation, this is super bad. and we can actually have death occur if we're overexposed. Okay, so if you kind of look, we can see that we actually get more dangerous as we move this way across our chart. Okay, and we can see the reason why that is because look here, we're getting these super high energy, high frequency waves, right? High frequency, high energy. And what that means is actually that energy can penetrate your body a lot easier. Okay, so you're exposed to this kind of energy, right, that can kind of affect the inside of your body. Over here with my low energy, this doesn't really get past the skin. I mean, you can see nothing. Maybe it burns your skin just a little bit. Here with our visible light, okay, well, maybe it kind of gets towards the back of your eyes, right? It can cause a little bit of strain, maybe a little bit of damage, but I mean, most of us aren't affected by visible light. Then we get kind of ultraviolet light, right? We're starting to get a little bit more intense here with our energy, whereas now instead of you might get just a sunburn, right? But it also could lead to skin cancer if you're overexposed. And then as we kind of move in down here to our super high energy, right, we're going from maybe just causing a little bit of problems, with maybe some organs, maybe a little bit of damage that could be repaired versus, here we have like possible death. Okay, so the main reason is because our energy increases as we go this way as well. Okay, so we get more dangerous because our energy is increasing. Okay, so hopefully you're able to at least fill out a few more of this down here. If we need to protect ourselves, how can we? Hopefully you found some real examples either by watching this video or maybe you found some as you were researching. But just make sure you can kind of explain some of the dangers to some of these types of radiation.